Good morning, everyone. So, now let's talk a little bit about strength. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's a good question. I don't really know what I mean by that, but here goes anyway. Strength, and strength in this context as a programmer, is something that occupies my mind quite a bit, because I don't know who the type of person you are, but I know the type of person I am. And ever since I started doing programming, my one wish, the only thing I've cared about since day one, it's not about money. It's never been about money. It's not about, prestige or being something fancy or anything like that. The only thing I've ever cared about is being as good as I humanly can. I don't have to, I never ever use other people. If I feel that somebody is really good at what they do, I never compare myself to them for any other purpose than to use them as a way of measuring my own progress. I have some people that I really look up to, and I think, every single day I think about how amazing it is that they are so good at what they do. And sometimes I wish I was as good as they are, but instead of using their skill and their amazing achievements as an excuse to, be upset or angry or maybe even try to belittle what they have done because, to feed my own ego, I just try to remember that they have put in so much work into who they are and what they can do that I want to do that too. I want to put in that work and I want to be as good as they are. And I will do anything to achieve that goal. And it is what makes me get up every morning as early as I humanly can, so I can go to the gym, do my stuff there, so that I have the energy that I need to read all the articles in my newsletters, to watch all the YouTube videos, to check out all the tech talks, to play around with personal projects, run my own startup, do all of these different things. And I do all of these things because I think it's fun. And this is what I'm trying to build up to. If you want to be a strong, really strong programmer, there are two things that you need to consider. You need to consider your strength as a programmer, like your coding skills, and your strength as a problem solver, or like a high level problem solver that people come to, like your personality traits, your ability to look at a situation or look at the needs of the people who are looking for your help and help them through the skills that you acquire. And that becomes very, very easy for you if you have an interest in what you're doing. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, I have enticed you to click it because you are at least curious about programming. You're at least interested in the concept and you want to try it out. And hopefully, I really do hope so, that you will find it as enjoyable as I do, because to me, this is like the thing. I was so lost for so long. I had no idea what I wanted to do. All I really knew was that I did not want to compromise on what I want to do with my career. I don't want to sit in a shop and to count the minutes until I get to go home and watch TV for the rest of my life. That's all I knew. I didn't want to do that. And then I found this thing, and it's the best thing ever. And it took a while, but it's great. And I hope that I can inspire you to try it yourself, because there's nothing that compares to it. And when you dedicate yourself to the craft more than a single tool, I see programmers who, they try something out, like, I don't know, JavaScript or Java or something, and then they stick to that technology and they don't really consider anything else, because they're not pushing themselves to try out new things and try to improve their craft, if you will. because it's not about a single programming language in order to grow strong as a programmer. You can get really proficient in a single programming language, don't get me wrong. Getting a job and doing all that stuff does not require this level of dedication to what you're doing. I'm not advocating that everybody should be like a mental case like myself, or a zealous, almost borderline religious fanatic when it comes to software development. But I do encourage you to consider these two things. The first thing is that your skill level as a programmer is not tied in to how smart you are. It has nothing to, it has very, very little to do with your brain capacity, how smart you are, how much math do you know, how good are you at computer science problems. That has very little to do with it. The things that are relevant and are going to matter in the long run is how much do you care about learning new things? How much do you care about acquiring experience? How much do you care about learning from your mistakes? And how well do you consider the challenges that you are facing? Do you give up? Do you keep pushing? How do you solve your problems? These are things that are so much more important than just raw brain or math power. Or, well, they pretty much come from the same place, I guess. Don't know about that one, because I've never found any math skills in my brain, and there's a lot of other stuff going on there. But this is kind of where I'm trying to go with this. I want you to know that if you want to be a good programmer, you have to have an interest in challenging yourself and being a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Even even when you have more experience, I mean, I still get uncomfortable, and it goes away with time, because as you face more and more challenges, you realize more often that it usually works out. It feels a little bit uncomfortable, and that insecurity that you start off with goes away for the most part. Little by little, you get more and more secure. And that ties into the second thing that is going to be the most important, which is your ability to, well, it's basically personality. It's virtually your ability to reason about problems and help people solve them. And this is actually, trust me, this is actually something that has gotten me further than just programming skill. When you start out and you sit down in a meeting or something like that, you're, for the most part, not going to feel all that comfortable in your coding skills. But as your coding skills increase and you get better and better as a programmer, the only thing that can really hold you back is your personality. Like, one of the most common issues that software developers face, or the software industry faces, is that you have engineers who are introverts or very shy or have some type of a few social anxieties. And you know, if you do, that's okay. I just want you to know that you don't being a really strong, good programmer is about more than just being able to write code. It's about collaboration. It's about communication. It's about understanding what your customer wants and making them trust that you can deliver what they need, to make them feel as if you are listening, that they can come to you and talk to you about problems, because that is the core, in my opinion, about being an engineer, not just a programmer. It is that you have the skill set, the mind, and the passion to solve people's problems. And you can, and in order for you to be able to do that in an effective manner and make people trust you enough to solve their problem, you have to have a little bit of an entrepreneur in you. And that sounds really weird, but maybe entrepreneur is the wrong word. But you have to be able to effectively communicate with people. You have to be able to relate to people. So to the people who are watching this, maybe you are a genius coder. But for whatever reason, and this might be hard to admit to yourself, you have a little, like, your palms get sweaty anytime you're in a group of people. Or maybe you feel real anxiety for when it comes to standing in front of a crowd and making a presentation. And I think you know what you should be focusing on. If those things make you uncomfortable, maybe those are the things that you should have a look at. Because that's the way, at least that's the way I try to look at things. I'm scared shitless of a lot of things, but I actively seek to, at least a little bit, put myself in those situations so that I can learn how to challenge myself to be better. Because even if it's a small thing, I mean, the first time I held my own tech talk, I was really nervous. And I didn't even, like, I was standing there in front of people who have been I had been doing that for a year. I was scared shitless. And it worked out, it worked out in the end. And that, honestly, that's usually the way that you will grow as a programmer, or as a person in general. I highly recommend that you take some time and you think about the things that make you uncomfortable, and be really honest with yourself, because you will find that most often people tend to avoid the things that make them uncomfortable. But if you want to be stronger as a person, or as a software developer, you have to try. So I urge you, really look into yourself and ask yourself, what is it that is most difficult for me, and challenge that in the best way that you can. To start off with, do something small and work your way from there.